Hello everyone, it's Charlotte here. Happy Saturday. Come on in. Welcome to my home. We are continuing with our file folder project, and this is part 2 of the series. I went ahead and distressed all my edges. We discussed this yesterday. I didn't want you to sit and have to watch me do that. That's probably was a good, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes. And I had mentioned that I like to put masking tape over the edges of my hinges, and so I did that. There's masking tape on this one as well as this one here. And the purpose for that, you don't need to do that. You don't have to use masking tape. If you wanted to use Scotch tape, that works well. I just like the feel of that smooth edge that you get. I mean, you can still feel the edge where your hinge is, but I just think it helps, and so I tend to do that. Do I always do it? No. Do you need to do it? No. It's just a personal preference of mine. So I started looking at what I was doing, what I wanted from this. And for me, the easiest place to begin is the back. Why? Because the back has, it's not as relevant, let's say. It's probably maybe the least important part of this whole thing. And many times the back of something doesn't really serve as a purpose. It's just the back. And then I started thinking about that, and I thought, here's an opportunity to do something. So let's do something. Now, you don't have to do this, but I went ahead and I got out my Graphic 45 Nature Notebook papers. And I want to thank, I'm pretty sure it was Judy, had told me that Graphic 45 usually gives individual names to each of their pattern, even though they're all in a kit. The kit will have a name, and then the individual papers will have a name. I didn't know that, didn't realize that, so I really want to thank you for that. That helped me. Now, I wanted a cool paper on the back, but not anything that, like, I wouldn't put my most important paper on the back. The one I think is the prettiest, I wouldn't put on the back. But I did decide that we are going to miss an opportunity to use the back. So I thought, let's do a pocket. Let's put a pocket back here, and let's create a journal card. Now, if you like to create journals that have a lot of ephemera, maybe a lot of lace, a lot of tuck spots, a lot of texture, when you go to write in that, it can be difficult. So it's nice to have a journal card, something that is flat that you can put between the pages to help you be able to write. And what better place to put a journal card than in the back of this, because this will still lay flat with a journal card. And what a better place to put a pocket, because you have real estate here that you, for the most part, aren't going to use. So we have valuable real estate here. Now, instead of taking an entire page of beautiful paper and then covering that paper up, I decided to take a piece of scrap, and it could go either way. That's really busy to me. I am going to go this way. I'm going to put this down like this. I will glue the whole thing, and then this is going to be my pocket, and that's going to go on here. So let's cut a divot, just a little piece out of here so that you can identify that this is indeed a pocket. And then it probably would be a good thing to just go quickly over this. Just quickly. We don't have to go all the way because it is going to be hidden. We'll just distress this just a little bit. And then I'm going to give you the measurements. I'm pretty sure, if you remember, this was 5 inches. So I think I went 4 3/4, and I did, because I wanted to have about a 1/2 inch on either side. You don't have to do that if you don't want, but this is a file folder and I wanted it to be identified as a file folder. And then I cut this at 1/8 inch of 3, so 2 7/8 deep. And so we're going to go ahead and glue this on here. Let's get this out of the way. Let's just open this up. We are going to glue this on here like that. So I've got my art glitter glue, and because the whole thing is going down, maybe I'll just go ahead and use my, trying to get this in here is never easy. Let me just go ahead and let's use the Fabrifix, because the entire thing is going to get glued down. And we are going to go that way. So let's just glue this down and then put our pocket in. Now, you don't have to do a pocket. You know, like I mentioned before, you don't have to have a pocket. I just got to thinking about this and thought we could create a journal card for this. And this is the perfect place to put a journal card, because the back usually does not get used. And so I would not want just a regular pocket back here with something that could fall in and out, and something that makes it uneven. Because if we put a pocket here and put a tag in here, if it had an eyelet, obviously that's just going to cause thickness and texture. And so I thought, let's do something flat and not let this go to waste. You've got to do something with the back anyway. So this to me just makes sense. So I am going to, we can always come back and distress this. We have to discuss if we want to stitch it. Let me just distress the top part of here, because once this gets down, we won't have that opportunity. So now, let's see if we can get this art glitter glue. Hopefully there's no clog. Isn't that side pretty? It's the thing with graphic 45 papers, is you just, both sides are so beautiful that sometimes it's difficult to know. And I am probably not using the right thing here, because this is so thin. It's great for tiny little lines, but I think for a large project like this, it almost can glue, the glue can dry before I really get it down. And you have to wonder too, are you going to want to stitch this? We want to make sure that we line this up. Get this down, and let me get this on here before it dries. And I've got a big clog. So now this is our back, and we have a great place to put a journal card. So we've done something with this. We've given it a purpose, and it's pretty. When we turn it over then, I started thinking about this page here because to me, every page, it needs a reason to be there. And so I thought, well, this really is the cover. So what do we want to do with this? And yeah, you need to be thinking about that. We'll get to that in a second. So then my next second page to put in, where you really don't have to give it a whole lot of thought, because we are going to have a journal covering this up, is this inside page here. And I cut this, and I just remembered I did not give you measurements for this here, so let me do that. This is 7 3/4, or 6 3. Sorry about that, guys. 6 3/4 by, I think this is 4 3/4, and it is. So the width, obviously, on the top page and this bottom page are the same, and then this was 6 3/4. So that you are, I came down just an inch. And then the inside is going to be 5 inches wide, like the back was. So I'm pretty sure that this is 4 3/4 wide. And it is 4 3/4 wide by probably 7 3/4. Yes. So 4 3/4 by 7 3/4. And this is going to go right in here. This is our back page. Now, if you wanted to, I'm not going to, but if you wanted to, you could make this a pocket as well. I'm not going to. You wouldn't want it coming off of this side because this is where your journal's going to go. I can't imagine you're going to want a pocket coming off of this side. So if you wanted a pocket in here, but you have to consider thickness. We already have a pocket in the back. I think if you were going to do a flat tag, in other words, nothing with a lot of texture, nothing without a lot of layers, nothing without like lace, you could put a pocket back here, but just realize you're going to start building up your thickness. So what I might do later is put a pocket down here. Maybe. I'm not sure, but I might. Once we have our journal in, we can look and see if our thickness is good. And if we've got space left, we can always put a pocket here to hold some ephemera inside. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this page down. The pocket, it doesn't matter. We can put it in later. It can come much later. It could be the very last thing that we do. So I am going to get this page in because this is one of the easiest pages to not really have to think about. Its purpose is pretty clear. It is the back page. So let's get her in. So pretty. This paper is just so beautiful. So now we've got the inside back page in, and we can always come back and distress this, and we've got a back pocket. So now what I want to do is close this up and start to look at what we have outside here. So this really is our cover. And I mean, this to me is not our cover. That's just something that's inside. This isn't a cover. This is our cover, this page right here. So what do we want to do with that? Well, I kind of came up with the idea, and this is where I don't want this. I don't want it to get complicated. I don't think it will, because we're here now. This is done. But now we can add on this. We can put more folds. We can add more stuff. So I had this tea-dyed envelope, and I thought, let's use this as a hinge. Let's add an envelope to the front of this. Does it hang over? Yes, it does. I like that. Nowhere in any book does it say you can't have something that hangs over, that it has to be all within the confines of our 5 inches. So I kind of like this. I thought, here's an opportunity. Let's not miss the opportunity. Do you have to do this? No, you don't have to do this. But if you have envelopes and you like it, what this is going to do is give you another spot to tuck things in, another place to play around. It gives you another opportunity to add things to your journal. So then I got to thinking, well, it's still a cover, so I want this to be the cover. So what I'm going to do is take this envelope, and I went through my pages realizing that I need a cover. So I cut this out to fit. I did not want any collaging. So this comes pretty close to that, and it tells you what this book is. This is a nature sketchbook. So it is a botanical book. And because this is the cover, it doesn't have to do any more than that. Now, if you wanted to, you could put a tuck here. You could put some kind of a pocket. You could add, I'm not going to. I may change my mind. You also, if you wanted to, could just put down 3 sides, and this also could be a pocket. You could make this a pocket coming out of this side as well. And I actually thought about doing that, and I think that that's what I'm going to do. So not only is my cover going to give me this space, but it's also going to give me a pocket here. So what I'm going to do is take a little divot out of here so that you know that this is a pocket. And this is going to go like that. And I am going to go ahead and glue down these 3 sides. But first, I am going to do just a little bit of distressing right here. And then if you recall me saying that you really kind of have to think one step ahead, am I going to stitch on this book? Because if I am, then what I have to do is look at this and say, before I put this on, I'm going to have to take it to the machine and I'm going to have to stitch it. So let me show you exactly what I mean. If this is going to be stitched, before I glue this into my book, I need to go and stitch this. Now, should I stitch down here before I glue it on? Probably. Okay. I am not right now where, well, you know what? I don't have to. If I don't do that, then we can proceed. Otherwise, I'm going to have to I've got white thread in my machine right now, and I think I would prefer black. So I will go ahead and put this down on the 3 sides and not worry about that one edge, just so we can proceed. Otherwise, it's going to hold us up. I didn't even think about that. And that's the perfect example of what I mean. When you create something like this, you really do have to be 1, 2, 3 steps ahead. Because if I went ahead and I glued this into our book, I glued our hinge into our book, and then I came back and said, I wanted to stitch that. Well, you're really kind of too late. How are you going to do that now? And so, you know, it's like a chess game. Now, if you glued it in and you couldn't stitch it, it's not that big a deal. Then you're just not going to stitch it. So this is our cover. What's going to happen is that this, and we'll do it on camera, is going to go like that. So now we have our cover. We have another pocket. When you flip this over, you're going to have this. I don't know yet what we're going to do with this. I may just cut out. Let me just have a minute to think about what do we want to do with that. If I'm going to stitch this, then, well, see, we're not stitching this down here. Well, we could, and we'd still have our pocket. Okay, let's see. This is on there. We can stitch this, we still can stitch this. But if I'm going to have another paper on here, I should do it and then stitch. So do we want paper on here? We could create a pocket. Do we want flip up journal pages? What do we want to do with this? Okay, let me think about, I need to think about this for a minute because I hate to not take advantage of that. So then we would open this to this, and I thought this would be really pretty. Absolutely love this page here, but I think being that it is part of the cover, I am going to put this there. So let's go ahead and glue this down. And then I looked at it and I thought, okay, well, that's really pretty, but what purpose does it have? It has none. It does nothing. And so we are going to put a little tag on there, just a tuck spot so that we can put something on there, because otherwise it's just there, but it's offering nothing. It's wasted space, and I don't want that. And I will give you the measurements of this. I'm sure they are the same. Let's get this put. I'm sure it's 4 3/4 by 7 3/4. But let me take the measurements just to be sure. Just a little bit shy, because this piece I think is a little bit smaller. So this is 4.5 by 7 1/8. Does that look right? 4.5 by 7 1/8. Right there, 4.5 by 7 1/8. So then what you're going to have to keep looking at this, we'll have this on there like that with a pocket. And then when we open this envelope up, we have this page here, which is beautiful, but it's just a page with nothing. So it needs to have a job. It needs to go to work. So I did cut out just a little tag. I don't want to put a pocket across here. I love that egg. I don't want to lose that. So I think what I'm going to do is just give us a tuck spot so that we've got real estate that we can use. So if I put this here, I'm not really covering anything at all. So I've got options. I can go with that side there. I can go with this side here. I think I'm going to take this side, and then later if we want, we can do a little bit of layering on this. So I am going to go ahead and adhere that down. I know I want it there, otherwise I probably would wait and see what happens. But even if I stitch, this will get stitched and that's okay. At this point, I can still stitch that flap. Let me explain that here real quick. I can always lift this up, take this to the machine, and stitch around here. But before I do that, I want to see what's going on here, because I don't want to have stitching here and then glue something over the stitching and not have this be stitched. So right now, this is what this looks like. This is where we are at. So we have the inside of this now that we have to consider. Then we've got this, and I did find another, yes, I did find another envelope. And I thought we could, guys, put this envelope this way and have another spot. So what we would have is, hopefully this is not confusing you, okay? Hopefully you're understanding what I'm saying. So now this is what we would be looking at. You would open this up. We've got our pocket here. You would open this up, and we've got great real estate here. Still trying to decide what we're going to do here. This would be a wonderful place for tags. So we could do like a double tag, or we could have tags that come in and out this way. That might be good. And then we've got this page with a tuck here. And then when you lift this up, then we would have another envelope here. This obviously would come up with that. Then we'd have another envelope here. So I think, yeah, we're gonna do this. But what are we doing with this little gem? So let's put this aside for a minute and think of what we want to do here. I could make it where we've got this pocket. We could have two tags here, where the two pockets where the tags come out of here. We don't want anything coming this way, because here's our journal. That's just going to create, it's either got to come this way or this way from the side. So we already have one coming from this side. Maybe let's just come down that way. Let's do that. So let me distress the top. And we will make this a pocket. You can see when you do this, you have a lot of cool options, and when you're in it, your brain just starts going and going, and you really aren't sure which way you're going to go. You think you have a plan. Well, I'm going to do this, and then that doesn't quite come off like that, and you're like, well, wait a minute, I've got this space. And so when you're showing it, it looks complicated, but as you can see, it really isn't. It's one step at a time. And hopefully my camera is not moving. If it is, I apologize for that. I think maybe on the other envelope, we might go ahead and have double pockets that come off the side. But let's get this pocket done and in and recap. And then the next video will just keep moving on. So what do I have in paper? I'm already accumulating. I've used this, but I've not used this. That's not very exciting unless we're going to put something on top of it. I could, but I've used that on the back. This is so pretty. I want to make sure that I use this. Okay, what do we have? Sorry guys, they're 12 by 12 and I'm kind of off. I wonder, I think maybe this paper might be great. Let's see where we end up having to cut it and see if we can't possibly, we might make this a double pocket. Let's see if I can get, I'd like to get, we are going to cut this. Okay, let's cut. Let's do this the smart way. And our envelope measures 4.5. We wanted a little bit less, so let's just go maybe 4 1/4. Let's go 4 1/4. And get your thinking cap on, Charlotte. My mind's everywhere right now with this. The ideas are just coming out. This is usually why you don't see me come in here and just turn the camera on when I'm working on a project, because my mind is all over the place. And I don't know that that makes for good video. I don't know. You tell me. Maybe it does. I don't know. Hopefully I didn't mess this up. Okay, so let's see what we can do with this. I think if I have a pocket, I am going to lose this. Not all of it, but we could do a belly band. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see how your mind just, it's all over? but we could do a belly band, and we could do a belly band. I really want to keep this here, and I wonder if I should just let's just cut this. I want to keep this. Let's just take it just like that. I know y'all are so excited from the comments for this, and I just hope I'm not messing it up. And let's just, I think, take the tiniest bit off of here and see if this will work. And then I can keep this whole pretty page. Does that work? Not quite. I need just the tiniest bit off. And I think I'm going to take it from the bottom. Maybe just like that. Let's see if we get this on there. Just okay. Are we gonna belly band this? Oh my goodness. Okay, see, we have options here, guys, and I'm gonna put the options out there because you are doing you. And I'm going to give you a couple ideas so that you can go your own way and do whatever it is that you would like to do. So we could keep this like this and have a pocket coming this way. We already on the other side have a pocket coming out this way. You still could have a pocket coming this way if you wanted to. This is a no-no. This, because you're going to have a spine here. So this is a no-no. So you can come from the top, you can come from the side, or you could put this down, create a belly band here, and this could be a belly band. A pocket down here is out because I don't want to cover this up. But, okay, another thing you could do is if you have an X-Acto knife, you could slit this open. I would take a piece of masking tape and put it back here, slit this open, and that creates a pocket. So that's a possibility. I wouldn't do it without some kind of reinforcement here because you don't want your paper to tear and you don't want that to be a weak spot. But if you put a piece of tape here that'll be on both sides of your cut, and then you go ahead and you cut a divot out of there, what you're going to do is glue this down around. You don't want glue in the center because you don't want to lose that pocket there. So hopefully that makes sense. But I think what I'm going to do is, man, I really like the belly band idea, guys. I do. Is this wide enough? It is. I could cut out the life is a flower, love is the honey. But it just fits. And that could be a belly band. My fear is that belly band's going to get lost because it blends in so well. And I don't particularly want that color. So let me go back kind of to the drawing board and see what I have in paper. Or I could do lace, but that's not really what I had in mind. I really wasn't thinking lace. And I don't, because I have that there, I don't want to see that as soon as I open that up. I could no, I don't want to use that, so let me just cut. Let's cut a little piece of this. Cut this across so I don't want to lose that right there. Cut that. Then I've got this pretty piece here if I want to use that for something. And let's cut this off. I do like the idea of the belly band. And that's a pretty piece right here, but we don't need it to be. I know if I cut this, I am going to cut that butterfly in half and then I can't use it. That belly band, that'll be pretty thick if I keep that poppy and that butterfly. I can clip this off so that I've got the poppy and the butterfly to use on something else, and hopefully I didn't just, yeah, that gives me just a little bit. So I'm gonna take a chance here. Let's just go for it. The worst that can happen is I don't use it and I use this for something else. So let's check this out. We've got two possibilities, and let's see which one we like best. We've got a couple eggs. I don't care. I really like the mushrooms. I don't care really if I lose the botanicals. And oh, look, there's a butterfly. So I could, you know, nobody says belly bands have to be right in the center. I could use this and those eggs go together, and I like the feathers. Or we could, I don't want to cut this down anymore and I will lose the mushrooms. So this is going to go in the pile for later. We are going to use this piece right here and we're going to put it on like that. And right above this egg, I'm going to take the tiniest little divot out so that you know that there's something there. And then I need to do the Roxy Rachel thing and bring a little, you know, I am a weaver, basket weaver. I used to sell my baskets, and I need to bring a basket over here for my pieces that I don't need. And I know that this is going to be a little bit longer. Wider, I should say, than what I need. So there's going to be a piece cut off. Now I'm going to tell you a little trick. If you're doing a belly band, and this works for pockets as well, if you're doing a belly band and you trimmed it wider, you could always fold the back sides and glue them to the back, and it gives you the ability to use this entire width versus having the glue on either side and losing space. Because I'm going to stitch this, I am going to lose space. So I'm not going to worry about that. So let's glue our belly band on. And then let's get this onto our envelope. And I'm not too worried about this because I am going to stitch it. And I will stitch off camera And then I promise I won't put anything together. We will do everything on camera, but I will stitch this off camera. And like I've always said, if you are not going to stitch, if you're not a stitcher, make sure that your glue is down so that everything gets adhered the way that it needs to be, because you don't want to have an issue with that. Okay, we're going to cut this off right there. And now we are going to, okay, so I'm going to have a belly band, but do I also want a pocket? Okay, how much do I want to get out of this? I think so. Let's do a pocket anyway. So let me take just a tiny bit out of this without ruining a butterfly. Don't want to ruin a butterfly. So now what I'm going to have to do when I stitch this, because I'm going to have a pocket there, I cannot stitch on the top of this. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch first before I glue this down. So you're not going to see that because I cannot stitch up here. I'll close my pocket. And on this side, I need that to be stitched. This edge here needs to be stitched. So on this side, I can stitch this edge and this edge. Is that correct? Yep. But this is a pocket. I cannot stitch. Wait a minute. Okay. Think, Charlotte. Think. Okay, I don't think we're going to stitch. There's no, I'm going to lose too much by stitching. So forget the stitching, guys. Forget the stitching. It's not going to work. So let's get this down. And that's what I mean about, having to be several steps ahead. When I first started doing this years ago, I have absolutely no doubt that I have stitched pockets closed. And I've stitched areas that I didn't want to stitch, and because of it was not able to have a pocket. So all these little things you have to consider, because if you don't, they're going to catch you and you're going to go, oh no. And then you'll have to find a way to compensate for what you wanted to do and you were not able to do. So now that this is down, I'm going to explain to you what I mean by that. Okay. On this side, obviously, I can't stitch this because I would close this up. I can't stitch this because I would close this up. I can stitch this and I can stitch this. But then when you turn it over, so if it's the bottom in this side, I would close this pocket, so I can't stitch this. I can stitch the bottom and I can stitch this. So I could take a stitch here and a stitch here, but not one at the top. So I think you can see we're going to be stitch free. This is not going to get stitched, although I think it would be so pretty if it was. The problem I would run into, you may be sitting there saying, well, before you put this on, why didn't you just go and do this stitching? And I get that, and I agree with you. But too, sometimes when you do that, the stitching underneath becomes, it's just thick, and I don't want that. So we are going to have this with no stitching, and we're not going to worry about it. Or because this side comes all the way over, I might go ahead and stitch that. I might, I just don't want it to look like, well, hey, wait a minute, you didn't stitch this. So I think what I'm going to do, thinking about it, I think I'm just going to distress it. I'll just distress it. Or, you know, we could take gold wax. That would be really pretty. I mean, we have options, but I'm not going to stitch it. So then we know, let's take this out so I don't confuse anybody. We know we want this here. And let's go ahead and put that in, because if we had put our paper on here, we'd be in trouble, wouldn't we? So that's another reason why you really have to have your mind kind of going, okay, what am I going to do? This way, because we put the hinge in, this way, when we put our paper on our hinge, we cover up our hinge. Now let's just say you made that mistake. You put paper here. You got excited. I've done it. I can't tell you how many times I've done it. And then I go, oh no, oh no. So I would go ahead and I would put my hinge on like I was going to, and then I would take, I'm going to give you this just in case it happened. I would put masking tape on here, and I would glue the masking tape down to make sure the edges couldn't come up, because you don't want to mess with this, and if you miss any kind of glue, you're going to have this. And then I would put a strip of paper here, and this would be a pocket. I mean, you can usually fix whatever you think you've messed up. It's fixable. But we want to try to not make more work for ourselves. We want to try to make less work for ourselves. So let's go ahead and glue this on our hinge. Let's get this down. And I'm not too worried about the edges, because there's going to be paper on top of this to hide it all. And then let's see what we've got, and then I think I'll call this video done until the next one. So let's see, let's make sure that I've got that in and that it's good, that it kind of evens up, that it's down, that it is the way I want it to be. And then let's do a little recap and call it a day. So we have a pocket on the back. Look at that. We're going to take a piece of file folder, we're going to round the corners, and then we're just going to cover them with some beautiful graphic 45 paper, no ribbon, no eyelet, no pockets, nothing, just so that it lays flat for journaling, and it's going to go in there. So here's our cover, and we added this envelope this morning, and in this envelope we now have a pocket here. You flip this over, we've got a great pocket here. We have a belly band right here, and we now have a pocket right here, all from just an envelope. And then on this side here, we've got a tuck here. If this bothers you, you can add a strip of paper. You can add washi tape. This does not bother me at all, so I am going to be leaving this. So far, I'm going to be leaving that. So then when we flip this up, we have I have no idea what's going here. I don't know what I'm doing there, but I think, grab another envelope, because I think we're going to put this envelope opposite this one here, because it just gives us great real estate. It's not an opportunity you want to miss. So yeah, we're going to do this, and I think we will make this so that we've got two tags that I have to think about it, play around with it, and see where we want to go. And then I've got to think about what are we going to do with here. I think maybe double pockets up here. So, yeah, I lay in bed at night and I think about all this. So we have that, and then we want to take care of this. So we have a lot going on in just these two little flips with two envelopes. And then we did our inside. We have pocket capability there. We know a journal's going in there. We have tag capabilities here with pockets, or we can make, sometimes I like to do large bookmarks, and this would be a great place to put large bookmarks. And then of course when you open it up, we've got this. So there's a lot going on here, just a lot, and I'm loving it. It's cute. So hopefully you're with me. If you have any confusion at all, please just let me know in the comments and I will go over it with you. And take care, everyone. Have a great Sunday. You probably won't see me till Monday, so enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks so much. And if you enjoy this video, share it. You know, get it out there and share it. And I don't mind. You don't have to ask. And I appreciate you. So thank you so much. Bye, guys.